Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we do have wind warnings issued through this weekend, as we are going to see some fairly stormy conditions in quite a few areas. We have got a pretty deep area of low pressure passing just to the north of Scotland, and out to sea there could be 80-90 mile per hour winds, named storm territory, but towards coastal areas, higher ground, towards the actual British Isles, it is more likely to be 60 or 70. So probably just below the threshold of a named storm, and that's why we have got widespread yellow warnings, but the system, as I said, hasn't been named. Of course, with these very strong northwesterly winds, we are actually going to be dragging in some pretty cold air through the weekend, and as we'll see from the latest UKV, that actually could be quite a few heavy snow showers around, especially for northern and western areas. Very much over the higher ground, but at times even to low-lying areas. Maybe not in the far south or far southeast or across East Anglia, but definitely across Wales, Northern England, Northern Ireland and Scotland, there is quite a high chance of seeing some wintriness in the showers this weekend, as we do see a pretty cold blast moving through. As we finish the video, we'll have a look at the longer range charts, as it is looking likely to go milder but drier in time for Christmas, as we do see high pressure building in over the Christmas period, which is very positive news if you are travelling. But if you do want a bit of a seasonal feel with a bit of snow around, then that is looking pretty much 0% chance now. However, towards the end of the year, towards the start of 2025, there is quite a high chance now that we do see some quite unusual blocking patterns over the northern hemisphere, and that could down the road into early 2025 bring something colder and perhaps snowier. So we'll look at that in more detail in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in description. Now, many of you have watched the videos over the last week know that my computer has broken, but I have got a replacement now, so hopefully we should be having normal videos resuming today, full functions, looking at all the data, and hopefully the quality is a lot better as well. So yeah, sorry for the past week, but hopefully from now forward we should be in a better place. So do start on the live radar. You can see there has been some rain that's moved through today. It's now cleared to our southeast. We are in this little milder sector, and that's why you don't see any wintriness within these showers really, apart from the far tops of the mountains. But it's behind this area of rain that will sweep through overnight tonight into Saturday. Behind that, we do see some really quite cold air moving in, and as that does move in, that's when we see the risk of some heavy snow showers, hail, sleet, growlpool as well. It isn't going to be a classic big, widespread sort of settling snow. We are going to see very up and down variable conditions. Could see whiteout conditions at times, big beefy flakes, a bit of evaporated cooling. Could be a real eclectic mix out there. So if you have got plans this weekend, do watch out. As we'll see from the UKV in a minute, it could be pretty wild with some of these showers. They do look really quite intense, maybe even some thunder snow in places. If you look at the temperatures, you can see we aren't mild at the moment, but we are a bit milder than we've been the last day or so, and will be milder than we'll be for much of the weekend, where, as I said, it does turn much colder, and it's all because we've got this small wedge of milder air. Now, to go over to the weather warnings, you can see we've got widespread wind warnings issued over the weekend. We've got these two warnings issued for Saturday. This one warning issued for much of northern England, the far north of Wales, Northern Ireland, and most of Scotland from 7 a.m. until midnight for a period of strong winds on Saturday. It's likely to lead to some travel disruption. 50 to 60 quite widely, maybe up to 70. So we're not looking, at named storm territory, but it is pretty close, and especially through the Christmas period, people travelling, people out and about shopping, could be quite a bit of disruption around with more people than normal on the road. So it is one to keep a close eye on. I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen this name, just because of the raw data we'll look at in a minute. It does look pretty strong, given that it is the weekend before Christmas. I thought perhaps the Met Office would name this because of the higher chance of disruption. But at the same time, if you look at it from the other view, if we start naming this, then people might not go out. Of course, retail will get hit. But of course, safety is first, and I do think it is a bit of a 50-50, a bit of a coin flip whether this should be named or not. But in the end, if you abide by the warnings, you look at the data, 50-60 mile per hour, maybe 70 over coast and higher ground, you can make your own judgment. But yeah, yellow warning issued at the moment. And then we've got this other yellow warning issued for the far north of Scotland. Higher wind speeds expected here, 65 to 75, maybe up to 80 towards coastal areas. And it is actually quite close to an amber warning. If this does get upgraded to an amber, then we probably would see this system named. But again, we are looking at the far north of Scotland, where it is a much lower density in terms of population. So we'll wait and see. But at the moment, no name status, and these very strong winds are arriving in only a matter of about 12 hours or so. If we do finally look at Sunday for the weather warnings, we've got this widespread warning issued for South West England, pretty much all of Wales, the West Midlands, much of Northern England, all of Northern Ireland and Scotland, and it's from midnight until 9 p.m, so another very strong period of winds, pretty relentless. Again, we're looking at 50, 60 miles per hour, maybe up to 70, and again, I'm surprised we've not seen, another warning within this, whether that's rain or even a bit of snow, because you can see here we are looking at squally showers, hail, thunder, snow mixing in with this. And it is very likely, or medium likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. As I said, it could be really hot wild the next couple of days. Now, if you go over to the latest UKV now, you can see that rain clearing through the southwest or southeast at the moment. And you can see from the northwest, we have got more rain moving through overnight. It will move through quite quickly, and once it clears by the afternoon, this is where we start to see those beefy showers moving in and the very strong winds. Now, it's really through Saturday evening into Sunday. Look at all those showers starting to turn more to snow over the higher ground, but even to low-lying areas further inland. And then into Sunday, look how much pink and purple we're seeing on this screen. Lots of heavy snow showers, really dark colours within some of these, so really high precipitation rates. So again, some local areas could see some accumulations. We're not expecting massive, it's going to be wet snow, it is very marginal conditions, and of course it is mostly down to evaporative cooling taking place, where we see very heavy precipitation locally dropping the freezing level towards sea level, and that is what causes the snow to reach ground level. Now, beyond that, as we head into Sunday, during the day, more snow showers moving through in the morning. They start to die out through the late morning into the afternoon. So it is really Saturday afternoon through overnight into Sunday. That's where the most likely chance we see snow. And of course, coinciding with overnight, temperatures will fall, ground temperatures will fall as well. So yeah, there is a possibility a few could wake up to a little covering, but we're not expecting anything massive. By Sunday, sunshine coming out for many, and we'd likely see any snow melt as the temperatures get up to around 5 or 6 degrees during the day. Beyond that, into Monday, we see another westerly flow moving back in, and we'd start to see a bit more rain. And then in time for Christmas, higher pressure builds in, and you can see for most, on Christmas Day here, it is dry, bits and bobs of sunshine, but a bit of a lingering weather front just to the north. And that's the issue sometimes with these areas of higher pressure. We do see a weak weather front trapped underneath it. It can mean it's quite gloomy, and we do see pretty slow moving areas of precipitation. So that is one to keep an eye on. Even further southwards, where it is drier, still got a lot of thick cloud around. So unfortunately at the moment, it does look like there will be some gloom around, but hopefully it clears up in the next couple of days. We're still 5 days away, so there is still room for movement within the models. All we need is a slight change in wind direction, slight position change in the higher pressure to draw in some slightly drier air. And if that happens, then yeah, we could see a bit more sunshine around. But equally, high pressure slips away, a bit of a stronger west to southwesterly. It would drag more moisture in off the Atlantic, and then we'd see more cloud and perhaps more fog and more mist and murk. So fingers crossed, we do see it brighten up a bit. But at the moment, you can see it is mostly cloudy, bit of rain in the north, but some spots of sunshine coming through. Of course, it has been a lot worse in past years with heavy rain and stronger winds, but in this scenario it looks pretty dry, just a bit gloomy unfortunately at the moment. Now, do put on the upper air temperatures, you can see it is chilly at the moment, but nothing massively cold. But it's really overnight into Saturday afternoon, we see those upper air temperatures really drop. A big pool of very cold air moves through around -6, -7 degrees. It's not ridiculous, but it is very chilly, and it does move through and start to disintegrate through during the day. And of course, we do lose the northwesterly wind, so slowly that air mass gets swept away into Monday. So it does go cold, if not very cold, For about 24 to 36 hours, another little blast from the north-northwest. And then it slowly clears and you see much milder as we head towards Christmas Day. Very mild actually there. 10 degrees at 850 HPA. That could deliver mid-teens. But, of course, there is likely to be an inversion taking place, or at least a moderate inversion. So we're not going to see kind of 18, 19 degrees, which is possible if this was a very strong southwesterly wind. If you look at the max wind temperatures, the wind gusts, we'll have a look at those temperatures in a minute. You can see that as we head into Saturday, very strong winds, especially in the north and the west. You can see the strongest winds are just offshore of northern Scotland, 90, 100 miles per hour, just clear to the north, maybe clipping the far northern Isles. Again, wouldn't be surprised if we saw an amber warning issued from the looks of this chart here, but for most, it's 50 to 60, up to maybe 70 over the higher ground. You can see another burst of stronger winds there through Sunday, lasting most of the day. And again, nothing too severe, but still very blustery. Could cause disruption. Lots of people out and about. Could catch some people off guard. But you see, into Monday, those winds very quickly dissipate away. And then for much of early next week, it is pretty still. And you see by Wednesday, Christmas Day, wind gusts are very, very minor in the far south, and that stagnant movement in air could cause those temperatures to be pretty chilly in places, and that's what we'll look at the moment. I haven't actually looked at these 2 meter temperatures. I'm just kind of insinuating what I think they'll be from the looks of the upper air temperatures, the pressure, and of course the precipitation. Now, as we head into Saturday morning, you can see it's not massively cold, kind of low to mid single digits, maybe high single digits, and during the morning it's actually not too bad, 7 to 9 degrees. It's really during the afternoon those temperatures drop away, and overnight into Sunday, widely temperatures dropping down towards kind of 4 or 5 degrees at most, but mostly down towards freezing. And wherever we see those temperatures around the 1 or 2 degree mark, even 3 or 4, there is quite a high chance of seeing snow falling out of the sky with any showers due to, as I said, evaporative cooling. And of course, if the surfaces drop as well, which is a risk in northern areas, especially over high ground, there could, as I said, be some temporary accumulations. See by Sunday afternoon, though, look at that, 4 to 6 degrees, so no winteriness is going to hang around for all too long. We're not going to see massive accumulations. There's 0% chance of that because those surface temperatures are going to be a good few degrees above freezing in the coldest places. As we move into Monday, a frost in some northern areas, maybe even in the far south, but eventually by Monday afternoon, temperatures starting to rise. Still chilly, 4 to 7 degrees for most, a bit colder over higher ground. But then into Tuesday, look at this, temperatures back up towards the double digits, very mild there for Christmas Eve. And then as we head into Christmas Day itself, still pretty mild there. Not quite as mild as it could be with those upper air temperatures, but still pretty mild, 9 to 12 degrees. So we're not seeing a proper inversion where the temperatures have got a massive difference, but we're seeing a little minor inversion. Of course, 10 degrees at 850 HPA, you'd expect to see 15, 16 degrees at the surface this time of year if it was a fairly strong wind. But you can see here where it's much cooler further northwards, it's actually very similar temperatures, maybe slightly milder across parts of the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland than it is across parts of England. And as I said, that's because even with those lower upper air temperatures, with the stronger winds, it does move that air around a bit more and allow those temperatures to rise a little bit higher than what they should do. It'll be interesting to see what happens the subsequent days where we do see a larger inversion taking place. But at the moment, 10 to 12 degrees, a good few degrees above average, pretty mild, but nothing too exceptional at this stage. Now, if you head over to the longer range charts now, of course, you can see that we have got that northwesterly wind coming in over the weekend. Pretty stormy conditions, as I said, very strong winds in places, but eventually the high pressure builds in through early next week for Christmas itself and for the subsequent days. As we head into the final few days of the year, though, look at that, blocking up towards northeast Canada, up towards Greenland, trying to push a northerly wind in. However, we've got a European high as well, and that kind of gives us this really weird pattern where we actually go pretty mild but dry. Now, I'm a bit more sceptical of this because, as we'll see from the ensembles at the end of the video, they are much colder, which gives me the impression that this high pressure system across Europe is nowhere near as strong on the majority of runs, where the low pressure would be sat further southwards and eastwards, the wind would be coming in from a more northwesterly or northerly direction, and we'd be dragging in much of this colder air that's sat just to our north. So instead of being very mild, we'd be chillier, maybe not cold or very cold, but definitely chillier with a higher chance of something very cold. So, yeah, GFS, definitely very interesting today. But as we'll see from the ensembles at the end of the video, it is quite a ways difference from the majority of ensemble runs, which means it's a little bit redundant and unfortunately not giving us much insight today, as it is so different from its ensemble members. Now, if you check out the latest GEM, you can see again northwesterly wind pushing in, high pressure taking over for Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and the subsequent days. And then as we head towards day 10, you do see something a little bit more interesting. Again, a higher pressure up towards Greenland, northeast Canada, and you can see there is a little bit more of an attempt there to see a northerly wind. Look at that, very cold air, very close by. We're very much on the dividing. Mild in the southwest, cold in the far north. You can see this temperature contrast is a good 10 degrees. Very interesting. 2-metre temperatures are towards freezing across eastern Scotland, northern England, up towards 8 or 9 degrees across southwestern parts. So you can see the GEM is a lot more interesting. I think that's what most runs are showing, something similar to this, where yes, there is that European high, but it's nowhere near as strong. There's some blocking up towards Greenland, and it's trying to force a northerly wind. But we're kind of in the dividing line, not knowing what pattern's going to win out, or maybe no pattern wins out. We kind of stay in this lull between colder and milder air mass, just kind of hovering around average, maybe slightly below average, a bit of winteriness, but nothing too major. So we'll wait and see, but definitely some interesting charts here showing up for the end of December and start to January. Now, if you finish with the individual runs by looking at the latest ECMWF out towards day 10, again, north to northwesterly wind next couple of days, higher pressure building in for much of Christmas. Again, it's a little bit further southwards, which does mean further south you will be slightly drier than if you are further northwards. Again, the further northwards that high pressure pushes, the more dry weather we will see. The further southwards it pushes, the more dry it will be in the far south, but further northwards, a bit more cloud, a bit more gloom and drizzle. And then out toward day 10, very similar here to the GM. And again, high pressure up towards Greenland and northeast Canada, trying to push those northerly winds in, but you can see a big block of milder airs pushing to our south as well. So we're very much in between air masses, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see what wins out. Again, I want to say it's going to turn colder because I want to see some snow. We had seen a bit of winteriness through November, but it wasn't widespread. Not most people didn't see anything too major, and it's because it was just simply too early in the season to see anything major. And I know a lot of people want to see some snow, and I do as well. But I must say, in these sort of scenarios, majority of the time, or at least more than 50% of the time, the milder pattern, that higher pressure, the European high, normally wins out. Not going to say that's definitely going to happen here, but I would just take that and, bear that in mind. That we've seen these patterns before, we've seen it very 50-50, we even see it go majority cold, and then it turns milder at the last second. So wait and see, definitely something interesting is starting to crop up. But whether we do see something properly cold into early January or late December maybe, very difficult to say. Blocking patterns look like they're going to return in towards the North Atlantic, Northeast Canada, but they're not quite close enough or dominant enough to really force us into something colder. Definitely pushing cold air out of the Arctic, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see where it goes. Here, it's skirting all to our north, Scandinavia, Iceland, North Atlantic, just not the UK and Northwest Europe. Now, if you finish by looking at the latest ensembles, these are the latest GFS, much colder over the next couple of days, and this is where we see all those heavy snow showers in the north, much milder for Christmas Day, and especially Christmas Eve, that's where the transition happens, and then slowly dropping down towards average around the 29th or 30th. And then beyond that, so you can see the average line disappears, and that's because it is the end of the year, and that will reset when we actually get to that point, so it's a little bit unfortunate that does occur in Western Central, but we can kind of extrapolate and see generally we're hovering slightly below average there into early January. High precipitation means lower pressures closer by, which does contradict what we saw from the GFS and even the ECMWF, which did have quite a big area of high pressure starting to push in from Europe. And you can see the GFS operational run here out towards the 29th, 30th, very similar, but slightly on the milder trend, and then it goes way, way above average, and way above the ensemble mean there into early January, and that's why I said the run is a little bit redundant. It's not really corresponding to what the majority of the ensemble suite are showing. Most of those ensembles are below average, if not pretty cold actually, -5 to -10 higher precipitation. Definitely something interesting. GFS operational, yeah, not showing anything interesting at all. Very mild, with high pressure dominated. So yeah, we'll wait and see. Again, we'll have another update out tomorrow, and hopefully we see a little bit more consistency there from the GFS. But definitely milder and drier over Christmas, and then something colder potentially towards the end of the year and start to 2025. You can see that reflected in the 2 metre temperatures. Much colder through the weekend, milder, but nothing massively mild. And you can see those temperatures actually do drop away quite considerably over the coming days, after Christmas, that is. And that does give me the impression that an inversion looks like to develop over a number of days. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, pretty mild, cooling down on Boxing Day. And then as we head towards New Year's Day, much, much colder, only 4 to 6 degrees here for the majority of Ensemble members. Again, quite a steep inversion taking place there. And then very much up and down, some very cold runs, some much milder runs, including the operational run there. As I said, very uncertain there into early January. And then finally, if we just compare to the ECNWF ensembles, the midday run hasn't come out yet. But again, very similar over the next couple of days, all the way towards the 29th, 30th, out towards that sort of day 10 period. Pretty much exactly the same. Pretty low precipitation for London, would be higher further northwards. And again, as we head towards the end of the year and start of 2025, a real eclectic mix there of different runs. No real major bias here. It's pretty much hovering exactly on that 1991-2020 mean. So ECNWF, not below average like the GFS, but still nonetheless got a lot of spread. Definitely showing there's some interesting patterns there as we head into the start of the new year. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Definitely have enjoyed myself getting back doing proper videos with better formatting. And yeah, going to be interesting to watch this weekend. Quite a few heavy snow showers around Saturday evening into Sunday, so do watch out for that if you are looking for a bit of snow. Could be some really hefty showers around in the north, maybe even further southwards as well. Maybe not quite as hefty or as widespread, but they could be around, or they do look like they're going to be around, so do watch out for those if you want to see some wintriness. But apart from that, for the Christmas period, it's going to be dry. It's going to probably be mild initially, maybe turning colder later on with more of an inversion taking place, and then the end of the year, so into early January, it is all up for grabs. Very interesting patterns are developing across the Northern Hemisphere, and yeah, we'll just keep a very close eye on it. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.